It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
In 1963, I was a St. Ambrose student, I think a junior, senior at the time, and Father Marv Mottet and organized a group to go to Washington to march with Martin Luther King on Washington, D.C. on August 28th, 1963. And so five of us from Davenport went. We drove all night, 17 hours out to Washington, D.C., and I remember coming over the sort of end of the D.C. area where the mall is, where they had the big march. And I can vividly, very clearly remember the mall was surrounded by buses, big Greyhound buses. And I always thought it was the purpose of the buses to keep people out, which was what it was, or to keep, bad guys out, or to keep us in, as like jailing us. I wasn't sure what the purpose was. I can remember that very vividly. Martin Luther King led the march, along with Walter Reuther, who was head of the UAW, because again, labor and civil rights and the Democratic Party were all kind of intermeshed together back then. It was an amazing day. I mean, I knew it was a historic day when I was there, and we sang a lot of the old civil rights songs, and Peter, Paul, and Mary, I've Got a Hammer, and all the beautiful civil rights songs. We need to do that more today. And then, of course, Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. And being involved in civil rights is a lifetime commitment, just like being active in government and politics has to be a lifetime. It's not a short period of time. There's always going to be racism or sexism or anti-gay feelings or anti-women feelings. In fact, we created Martin Luther King Center here in Davenport. It's been unheard of 50, 60 years ago, but it's changed. And to see that by your involvement, you do make a difference. You got to be an optimist. You got to keep trying. So I guess it reinforced my beliefs that the system can work if you really work at it. Don't give up on it.
Great opportunity of having dinner with Dr. Martin Luther King when he came to the Amana colonies, and I was a freshman student at Grinnell College, which is just down the road. I was a little intimidated because I was just a freshman and the other 5 students that were there were all upperclassmen, so I didn't know any of them. But I did know this, and that was that the man that was speaking to me was destined for greatness. There was no question in my mind. He was a handsome man. He looked straight at you and he just bore into your soul. There was a fierceness in what he said that hung in the air. It was the personal element, and he made that clear that we're not alone in this world, and everything we do impacts every other person that we encounter. There's hope in the world. And that we have to, in those small ways, contribute to making that dream real, making that hope real.
The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom was one of the most astonishing things that I'd ever been involved in. It taught me a lot of things, showed me a lot of things, and proved a lot of things for me. And 2009, at the first inauguration of President Obama, those 2 events were 2 events that really stood out to me in terms of what I went through and participated in. I guess a third one would be the fact that I was, the first in my family to graduate from college, and actually I paid my way through college mainly, to see my mother's face when I got my bachelor's degree from Howard University was another one of the events that really stood out for me. It changed me because I began to see people in a different light. I saw people not in terms of race anymore. I saw people not in terms of a different type of religion anymore, Because, for example, at the March in Washington, when you had 1 million people, I was standing at the tree right in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and I couldn't move because there were people in front of me, behind me, beside me, and I was pressed up against that tree. But it was a glad time, and there was no animosity. Everybody had the same goal. Nobody had any secret or had their own type of agenda. There was only one agenda, and that was the agenda to get freedom and get jobs. Those events and those individuals were all part of what set a tone for me in terms of what was a good tone. I was able to meet and hear Dr. King, hear Malcolm X, talk to and meet with both of them. Marion Barry, who became one of the activists in D.C. at the time, who became the first African-American male to become mayor of Washington, D.C., was one of the activists in the city that I worked with. There was a young man that graduated with me that was at many of these sit-ins and things that we did at the time, and that was Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael graduated in my class from Howard University at the same time. Why I became activist? Because what I saw, what I heard, what I lived through, experienced, and listened to people who I respect. And all of those things were things that govern how I felt, govern what I did, govern what I continue to do. And I think for someone who wants to be an activist, or someone even who didn't think they were going to be an activist, if you hear something and you see something, don't close your eyes. That's not what you do. And that's how you become an activist. I'm an educator for years. That's my profession, education. And I think it's the best way to get people to understand where we are, where we came from, and where we need to be.
When I look at this, I think of April 1968, when Dr. King was shot, standing on the balcony outside his second-floor room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. During the funeral, they played a tape recording in which Dr. King spoke of how he wanted to be remembered after his death. I'd like somebody to mention that day.
That Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others.
In this painting, when I see it, I think of my brothers, my father, the men in my life that was called boy. They were grown men, working men, religious men. They were not boys, but they were men that was treated like boys. It was founded in '05. It's a couple of founding members like Alta Price, Kathy Bokum, Karen Unsinger. She came on a little bit later. And there's some other people that's passed on that started that group. And that group is a progressive group. And what they do, they talk about progressive issues that affect all of us. And I came onto the group later on in '07, and I learned so much from these people because they was political inclined to what's going on in the community. And so anybody was welcome to join it, and they did have a variety of people from all over and still do. And we may not have the people, a lot of people that's going and standing on that corner with us, but we do have them. They back us up financially, whatever we need. Those people are there. They make very good donations, and we thank our supporters because they believe in what Progressive Action does. And we're not a big organization, but we're a powerful organization, and that's what I love about that group. I love the idea that this place is here on this little corner, that once you really look into it, it's a lot of history that happened for our people right in this area. Punk for Action was something that was started by Karen Unsinger. She's one of the founding members of Progressive Action for the Common Good. And she was so upset and wanted to do something after the George Floyd incident. So she came up with this. She called me and she said, Glenda, what do you think? She said, you know, I'm a white lady. You know, do you think that people would be receptive to this? And she wanted me to help her. And I said, I think it's great, Karen, because I do feel like in order for change to come, it takes all kinds of people. If I stand out there by myself, you know what it's gonna be? There we go again. But if you see other people, different nationalities, different color, different backgrounds standing out there, it makes more of an impact on our community. So this is how we started doing that. And Hunk for Action, we do it every Saturday morning, rain, sleet, or shine. We're out there now. If it gets too cold, we're not there. If we do 15 minutes, we still are over there on that corner from noon to 12:30. So we get a lot of positive hunks, and then sometimes we get a lot of not so positive. But we know what? We smile, we wave, and we keep on holding our signs up. And now we added holding a flag up because we feel like that flag does not belong to just a certain group of people. That flag belongs to all of us. This is all our country. So now we have our flags, we have our signs, and sometimes Karen's dog is out there. So sometimes when we get there, before we can even get our signs up, people are honking. They know that we're there every Saturday, so it's a positive thing, we feel like, that it just keeps people in remembrance of what happened, because sometimes we forget. This way we can keep that dialogue going about equal rights, equality for all people, and the other signs we have out there, Hunk for Peace. So you know what, we just enjoy doing it. On our 15th anniversary, we gave like $15,000 out in the community to different nonprofit organizations, and we got a lot of thank yous from different organizations that we gave that to. So I thought that was amazing, because most groups say, well, I'm gonna keep my money in our treasury, but we wanted to share our wealth out in our community, and that's what we did. To me, that's letting your voice be heard, and it's through action, because we all talk, but let's put some action behind that. Go to the polls and vote. I hear a lot of people say, oh, what for? My vote don't count. We have seen here recently that people won or lost elections 10 votes. So your vote do count. And as far as I'm concerned, it's too many people die for the right to vote. And I'm just not talking about African Americans. I'm talking about other young people that came down to the South. They lost their life for something they believed in. And this is something that we need to continue. We need to let our children know, our grandchildren, because when you turn 18, register to vote, because you know what? Only change is going to come when you go there and vote.
I believe I'm only as tall as the giants I'm standing on, and I have a great community helping me pave my own path. And I've always been real interested in activism and just pushing us forward as a community, and I think I was just destined to fall in place. I'm a black man in America. Every day I go out, I take the position of a civil rights activist. I'm just fighting for myself. I always find myself hanging around people that know much more than I do, and just learning and asking them questions. When you can be humble enough to see the struggles that the people around you face on a day-to-day basis, it really puts you in a calming position to where how privileged you are to live the life that you live. It takes a village to raise anybody and everybody, and I shouldn't be the only one here at all. There are plenty of young activists and young Malcolms and young Martins placed in the roots of Davenport, Iowa. You'll have a strong community, and that's what I believe in. So I feel like I can call myself somebody that's empathetic, can walk in another man or woman's shoes, can see that your neighborhood is several different neighborhoods in one. Everybody has a story, everybody has a path, and everybody has goals, dreams, and aspirations, and you should honor everybody's.
I was the first one to be in 2-1 as a precinct committeeman. I stayed there for 51 years. All I want you to do is be honest with each other. Treat each other like a man and should be treated. Nothing special, but first be honest. I live because I stand on principle. Always did. Let's not get hung up on texture. What a person look like, your texture. Let's get hung up on and do the things that's right.
I am one of a million. I'm one of a million, not one in a million. I'm one of a million. And I believe there are plenty of others that I can call myself counterparts to and peers. And I feel like together we can genuinely change the world. Those are my brothers, and I feel like them, you can go outside, you can face all different types of racism, classism, injustice, like all of that is still present. So when I look at those as my big brothers, my mentors, some of the people that just came into this room, those are those people, right? If, rest in peace, if Martin Luther King was still alive, that's where he would be right there, taking interviews, and those are the people. So I feel like we should put flowers on people before their tombstones, and I feel like they're still here, we should still cherish them, and they're definitely relevant to this day.
You want to learn what to do to educate your community on progressive issues like voting, civil rights, gender equity, healthcare. Our group is the group to come to. So we need everyone. You know, we need young people, old people, black people, white people, Hispanic, just all kind of people. That's how you make the world go around. You just can't have one group of people. It need all of us.